Hello, everyone, and most welcome to 1952 of the H series. We will today continue with Manoussakis, Derrida, and religion. Last time, 1950. 1950! We took a thorough gander at tautology and the multiplication of the self-same. I think I mentioned that the mathematics of quantum mechanics is quite different. It does allow the anagrammatization or the turn of 52 into 25 and 25 into 52. And this is often mentioned in connection with Kurt Gödel. Kurt Gödel, who was one very important moment in the development of, how could I say that, non-logical thinking, or because his proof that came, oh my God, when was that? 33 or 35? I think it was 33. And it proved that there is no functioning thing as the long chain or logic or rationale that is self-proven. And this is what we mention here in tautology. There is no tautological proof of math, or by that any other thing. So nothing can actually be gained by using the law of the excluded middle or any other contradictory proofs. Simply will not work. Kurt Gödel himself, he suffered badly from this insight. It's not something that he wanted, and he actually starved himself to death. I think he got some sort of paranoia and thought his wife was going to put poison in his food. Didn't have a happy end, that. I rather see the opening up of the mechanic or the machine-like system is something to be joyous about. It opens up for more freedom. It's the only way to reach free will and a spiritual life. Without it, there would be nothing. We will be doomed in a deterministic long chain of self-similar objects, all identical, all joining each other. And this is not an ideology. This is already in you. As C.M. McKilchrist, everyone today are logical, rationale, because we use it from morning to night. And that means that when we sort of approach revelation, the Bible, or anything spiritual, we will cut it down into logical parts, making every sense of spirituality disappear. The only soothing thing is to listen to Palestrina. This is what I would say, which I can highly recommend. I have one here, and I think I copied it and put it into the chat here. First time I chat, I think. I don't know. No, I think I've done it before. There we go. This is encouraging. I hope. But we also looked in the possibility or the start of logos. Self-similarity, is there a thing? And the evacuation of the referent. That something is no longer filled with anything. It becomes emptied out. Like the words. When I studied linguistics, They said that the words were arbitrary, the arbitrary signs in a Saussurian way. And I thought it was such a distasteful idea. It diminished all knowledge. Horrid. Take away the richness and the musicality, speaking of Palestrina, of language, the poetry of language. Like saying the word garden in Sweden, trädgård, it's just arbitrary. You could have chosen squawking Vic or something. I mean, they're horrid. It's murder on all understanding. It's a violation that equals Germany's attack on France in the 40s. This is just horrid. This is beyond belief. Who does that? And I was in a way lucky, I think, speaking of. I'm already a bit tired, but I was a bit lucky because my professor was especially horrid. He was actually mean to children as well, his own children. That helped me to realize that view is evil itself. It is closely connected to have no sympathy or not understanding aesthetics, goodness. I think those are closely connected. Not this logic. Well, let's continue where I left off. We are currently at page 312. And 1, 2, 3. The third paragraph on the small subchapter, 3 readings.
How to speak, what's the last thing? How to speak. The turn of philosophy is the next.
Yeah, the third one. The turn of philosophy to religion is not therefore a turning away from what constitutes the proper element of philosophical thinking. On the contrary, such a turn signals the return of thought to the question that is the philosophical question par excellence, the question of God. Oh God! Oh God! The one is lacking the other. The one is yearning for the other. Yearning, yearning, yearning. No language can ever articulate, describe, communicate, or explain the experience of God, without turning that very experience into an idea or a concept governed by the logic of language. And what else can language be but that which before God is destined to fail? Fail. Fail. Are we not speaking of this failure every time that we are speaking of God. Of God. Is it possible then that the philosophical logos could ever be able to think God outside language? God outside language. Is it possible then that religion could be in this or that way thinkable at all? At all, at all. The turn of philosophy to religion does not aspire to return to the discourse and the question of God, which it has never forsaken anyway, anyway, anyway. But attempt something far more radical, to say the unsayable, to think the unthinkable, to make possible what remains impossible. For it is this God outside language and signification, a theology without its logos, that becomes the impossible towards which the possibility of thinking strives, 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 striving going on. Philosophy's turn to religion indicates ultimately a locus or a moment of turning back, of retraction within thinking itself, itself, retraction. Of the two sources, sources, indeed. This return, however, on another level can be discussed not only in terms of the return to religion, but also as the return of religion or the religious. A multifarious return occasioned by the advent of techno-science and what Derrida mystically calls the mechanical, though he qualifies it thus: mechanical would have to be understood here in a meaning that is rather mystical. 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 The return of religion is not so much as one first might think the return of faith, spirituality, or any type of fundamentalism to a society that, since the Enlightenment, has been proclaimed and ought to be secular, that is pure of all religiosity. On the contrary, Derrida seems to argue that not only is there no such purity and from the religious, but also that such fundamental structures of the enlightened secularized state as the concepts of sovereignty, the citizen subject, and the distinction of public private space still entail what is religious, inherited in truth from a determined religious stratum. That was a sentence and a half. Let us remind ourselves here of such cursory examples. Cursory examples as the sacredness of the flag, the scriptural authority of the Constitution. Constitution. The veneration of the nation's founding fathers. the hierarchy of the governmental structure, and the ritual in public acts and ceremonies.
Ceremonies.
The ritual, the ritual. Furthermore, the very criteria on the basis of which the separation between the church and the state, or the distinction between the sacred and the profane, becomes possible, remains religious, or in any case, theological, political, indeed. The war that fundamentalism wages against liberal forces. Thank you, Vidi Mosse. Civil rights and so on, religious wars, and even terrorism, but also globalization, capitalism, and technology are all and equally symptomatic of this double mechanization of the religious. The religious. Protecting itself from anything that might threaten it. Immunitary, and protecting itself from what protects it. Autoimmunitary. Autoimmunitary. Religion today, Derrida writes, allies itself with the technoscience to which it reacts with all its forces. It is a strange logic that mechanically duplicates itself and hints at the controversial formula that holds faith and knowledge as having the same source. and in different calculation of the same arithmetic divides faith and knowledge as constituting the two sources from which from which religion springs. Religion springs. Hence, the two sources of religion, as stated in the title of this essay. This essay. This essay. Working along the same trajectory of argument. Derrida believes that one would blind oneself to the phenomenon called of religion, or of the return of the religious today, if one continued to oppose so naively reason and religion. Critique of science and religion, techno-scientific modernity and religion. Critique of science and religion, techno-scientific modernity and religion. To remain blind to this intercontamination between religion and reason would simply amount to an unreflecting embrace of ideology. Of ideology. Of ideology. Of the one possibility. The ratio between these two, religion and reason, or faith and knowledge, could also be given analogically in the relation between two other phenomena as they are considered in a related idiom. Revelation, Offenbarung, and the revealability, Offenbarkeit.
Offenbarkeit.
The latter offers the possibility to revelation, a possibility that is open and opens itself as precisely this place, lieu, Kora, that allows revelation to take place, but the possibility of revealability, the possibility of revelation is an unconditional possibility and thus absolute. Such a possibility is not bound to or limited by anything, not to by revelation itself or to by revelation alone. Alone.
Hello?
Alone. And it could even negate revelation, becoming thus and by the same gesture the possibility of radical evil. Evil. The possibility of radical evil, Derrida writes, both destroys and institutes the religious. The religion that radical evil institutes and in turn is instituted by is the religion inaugurated by the Kantian categorical imperative, which overthrows and replaces the divine law. Oh! And its autonomous subject. Who becomes independent from God. It is Kant's natural religion that first proclaims the death of God, even prior to Nietzsche, since the moral subject is supposed to act as if God did not exist. God is nothing more than a useless prosthesis to such a religion. Prosthesis! Prosthesis! Reduced as it is to a rational morality, and he can then be properly discarded. Here, we have neither the time nor the space to discuss how Kant's reaction to Newton's mechanical universe resulted in a system whose mechanics mimicked those of its rival. Good pun there by Derrida or Manoussakis. For the moment, suffice it to say that Derrida characteristically speaks of Kant's religion within the limits of reason alone, a book of radical evil. since, since it is a radical evil that such morality presupposes, without which good would be for nothing. Throughout these pages, two specters of religion arise. the two, two crude twins in similarity and in difference. The one is that of religion that runs as a theological machine. The machine for making gods. 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 The other, its twin, that is to say, the same and yet different, is religion that operates as a machine of evil and of radical evil. Radical evil. At first, this duplicity seems to be evocative. Evocative of a Gnostic dualism between a good God and a divine evil. Evil. In terms of such equivocal language, the two opposites could meet. If not coincide, as they both go beyond similarity and beyond difference. Difference. Their advent is virtually indistinguishable. The coming of the other. The other. One does not yet know which other, what kind of other. Can only emerge as a singular event when no anticipation sees it coming. When the other and death and radical evil can come as a surprise at any moment. Moment. Therefore, radical otherness and singular eventfulness are those parameters that define God's and evil's common structure. I think that's so good, I'll repeat it. Therefore, radical otherness and singular eventfulness are those parameters that define God's and evil's common structure. Perhaps if one of the two occurs, when one of the two arrives, we would only know that it has finally come, unable always to say what that it is. What is it? Pre-tell, what is it? And that I will put a stop. It's the first paragraph on page, oh, I can't even see the page here.
315. 315, it is.
Well, you have to put is what that is. I will put there to be sure. 1952. And it's 1452. It's the 8th of January. No, December. December, remember my name. Da 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 dee da da dee da da da. Da 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 dee da. Na 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 na. Well, it was an incredible, very condensed. It's almost like I would like to have to make two summaries of this short text. Should have stopped reading earlier. Well, I think we're going to let this be a grand summary when we finish with the whole paper, because it's very dense here. It's a lot to talk about in a short space. And I do like that joke. It's time for a pun. It is not without humor. We go to, please, Kalle, if you can go to page 312 in the chapter 3 readings. I think it starts evocative. It starts emotionally, and it's the last paragraph on that page. And there are two different things established here. Within the question of God, these two different but not mutually exclusive, it's not mutually exclusive, modes should be brought with respect to their disparity together, the concept of God and the experience of God. So they are converging and diverging from each other, and they are modes, and modes here should be understood as Stimmung, an attitude or an aptitude. I will go for attitude, aptitude.
Where is mode mentioned?
Hmm?
Where is mode mentioned?
It's in the sentence I just read. But not mutually exclusive modes should be brought. In plural.
Not in this
Second
paragraph.
line.
No, there is nothing.
Yes, there is. At least in my paper.
There it's
Yeah.
further down.
No, in the sentence I just read, I think should be.
Now, okay, yes.
Should be brought with respect to their disparity, and they're also together the concept of God and the experience of God. Oh, that's a difficult one. This is why I wanted to have two summaries. I think I probably have that. The experience of God is close to Zuhandenheit, is really here. And the concept of God is more like Vorhandenheit or 400. This is just from me, coming from me. Don't trust that. I try to give an indication here in the direction you should go somewhere. And you get some explanation here. The one is lacking the other, and the one is yearning for the other. The experience of God is yearning or even has God. But the concept of God as almost like a left hemisphere thing, if you get that drift. And to put it shortly, what is pointing to here is a tendency to go to the conceptual God instead of the experienced Zuhanden God. God as beings with plural and a little b, compared to God as being with a big B. I think that's the best, maybe. Next sentence, no language can ever articulate, describe, communicate, or explain the experience of God without turning that very experience into an idea or a concept governed by the logic of language. This is more Derridian than Wittgensteinian, but it's a bit like you should turn God into a concept. You turn it into something in the black box. You give it. Do you remember the second rule? Bachelors and that. We gave God as a definition, and the logic of language is that. I wouldn't say in the Wittgensteinian sense there's something wrong with language, but logic of language could be, so to speak, the misunderstanding. The black box, the Scarabee box. So by falling into the common argot, the common jargon, we turn God into a concept, or God is already turned into concept because of the mode we have, the attitude. I think I go for attitude. It will happen directly. And the last sentence on 312 Is it possible then that the philosophical logos could ever be able to think God outside language? And this is now once more language in the specific sense of the Derridian sense. So as soon as the logos of language is established, God is left outside. It will be something distant, cold, or turned into a beings, something that is not fractal, something I think it was Susie Froebel to say, at a distance reality turns into black and white or either or. By the horizon or fractality diminished to the level it is almost becoming like either or, one or zero, or yes or no. If you go to, I'm going to jump a bit because otherwise the summary is going to be extensive. The last paragraph on next page. Beginning with the war. I hope you're on the correct page because I can't see. I don't have numbers here on my page, so I don't know. The next page has a subtitle called Of the Two Sources. Now you're on the wrong page. The page before that one. Could be 313. It's very tough to get around that.
Okay. Okay, this is two sources.
Oh yeah, thank you. Down there, as I said, very down at the very bottom. And I'm trying to explain here. Oh, it's a very long sentence. Oh my God. I think Manoussakis is inspired by Derrida to make these long sentences. The war that fundamentalism wages against liberal forces, civil rights, and so on, religious wars, and even terrorism, but also globalization. Capitalism and technology are all and equally symptomatic of this double mechanism of the religious, protecting itself from anything that might threaten it. Immunitary, and protecting itself from what protects it. Auto-immunitary. Why is that? Well, if you go to the concept, religions becomes conceptualized. If we are in the logic of language or the black box, we start to defend it because it's a weakness that's already inherent in the system. What does a body do when a bacteria threatens to enter or something? It protects itself. The immune system is kicking in, and this immunity is the auto-immunitary. It will also attack the immune system. This is the process of becoming mechanized. It's automaticated. It's stiff arguments, if you like. There's nothing flexible anymore. And you turn into almost verbal violence, if you like, a bit exaggerated. You become a person who, almost like my friend, the tall guy, uses rhetorics and aggressive syllogisms to defend. That's the mechanization. That's harsh. That will build sharp bound borders. It will build dichotomies. It's us and them. And you lose out on the fractality. You actually lose out on the experience. You are no longer two-handed, you go more in the direction of four-handed. And there is a certain sharpness to the whole thing. And that sharpness is not only in how I speak, my voice will alter, I will use harsher words. And at the last sentence going, I'm sorry, Kalle, this is going to be tough for you to go to the next page. It is a strange last sentence. It is a strange logic. So, no, I think you're already on the next page. I think well, you can go to the top there and I read what's just before. It is a strange logic that mechanically duplicates itself, as we said before, the chain, and hints at the controversial formula that holds faith and knowledge as having the same source and in a different calculation of the same arithmetic. Divides faith and knowledge as constituting two sources from which religion springs. Here we have the cleft, the chiasm. We are back almost to that division between the Western Church and the Eastern. Chiasm. This is faith and knowledge of Hedenius, now inside the conceptual mechanistic religion. Now we established a cleft that needs to self-heal, which is inside. The cleft is not outside of it only, because we create these borders, these shops, definitions. We also create this cleft between knowing and believing. And it's already there. And I used a Swedish philosopher, author called Hedenius, who wrote a book, I think only published in Swedish, called Faith and Knowledge. Hedenius. It's such a good title in this context because it tells exactly what it is about. I think you got, yeah. You should go for the Wikipedia here. You can see if it's turned into English. Could be. You need to take away the year there. There's no need for that one. There he is. He was a tall fella. And it's a very good example because both his parents were extremely religious. So that is often the case because the cleft is already in the religion. The same is the case with many philosophers in Sweden at that time. He was influenced by one, and I met a couple of the ones who are second generation from that. And they all have extremely religious parents. So it's already in there. And the cleft develops, you have to make a choice. You might even not, you could be living in a hut, a cabin in the woods, isolated from the naughtiness of the world. You could be an Amish, maybe. And you will still feel that cleft and you will react as a young person, as Hedenius did. He seems to me as a very honest person, and his honesty was his demise. If he would have kept with the religion, he would have been intellectually dishonest in some ways. And this is what Derrida is pointing to, Derrida, Manoussakis. It's the cleft that is already established, and the autoimmune system kicks in and starts to attack everything. And then it attacks the inside as well. Kalle, please join. I will leave the rest of my comments here because otherwise we will continue forever. It's too much in this one. Yeah, let's see. You might want to push the table a bit in this direction.
So there is the solution, so to say, is on that same page, 314.
314, okay.
Same page. If you, the last phrase of that first paragraph. To remain blind to this intercontamination between religion and reason would simply amount to an unrestrained embrace of idolatry. So the solution is to accept that religion and reason are contaminated beneath each other.
Yeah.
So you can never say we use only reason.
No.
Because it's already interwoven with religion.
Yeah.
We could also use Wittgenstein's family metaphor, and it shows that things are related to each other in some way or another.
You have as we looked into the senses and the conceptual, and how they are interwoven, and it would be nonsensical to say the sense is the first thing, the original, because when you get words and you get more words as you grow up, you will get the possibility of having pain in different areas. There is no toddler who can say, I have a pain in my leg. That doesn't exist. You need to learn the words, and then your senses will change. So nothing is more originary than the other. And it is not that faith is one thing and facts are something else. They actually into each other. I think that dichotomy is very vivid. It's like in rhetorics, which I just came from, this is the idea that I have a message, a rhetorical message, and then I ornate it with emotions or nice words. I put decoration on it. The main message the teacher said today could actually be captured by ChatGPT, like a sort of a logical form. And then we just put the ornation, my tone of voice, my face, my body language, the prosody, you know, the singing of the language. That's just extras, supplement, as they don't say. And as Derrida is pointing to, and Wittgenstein so eloquently, no chance. There is no divide there. The divide, Derrida would say, can be dissolved by deconstruction. Wittgenstein says it's a misconception.
Indeed.
A misconception which I myself used to believe much more strongly in than I do today. I still believe in it to some. It's very hard to get rid of. It's not like you wake up one morning and think, no, not anymore. Nah, it's not really like that.
I think about the old slogan of the poster of Obama, hope, I think it was. You could think about, yes, if you did those polls neutrally, it wouldn't have the same message.
No, it wouldn't. Not at all.
Not at
all.
I think the paper by Derrida of apocalyptic tone recently adopted. The tone says much. So even so-called rational humanists like Helenius, they need to put a certain tone, even when they convey so-called facts. That they can, there is never a neutral tone.
No.
And in the tone you have already sensations or religion.
Everything's there. It's all contained within. My wake-up signal was a professor in phonetics. He showed that already in the first syllable of a word, you have everything. And I think it's a horrid idea that the words are arbitrary. It's like anti-intellectual, anti-intelligence. It's just horrid. These are the people who don't have any ambitions of thinking whatsoever. No, not at all. It's all there. Both rationality and faith or emotions, expressiveness, it's all there.
Perhaps you could say that tone is already religion.
Definitely.
Because let's say scientists say something with a neutral tone.
This is what they would like to think, most of them at least.
The tone voice, but it's actually the voice of a deaf person. So-called neutral tone is the same as a almost dead person. And we know, for instance, a healthy heart
Yes.
is need to be irregular.
Exactly. A healthy heart is,
Example comes from science. So tone should not be neutral.
No.
Because this means that you are on the way to die. Even such a proclamation like declaration of when the Nobel Prize Committee says we have a winner, that should be, so to say, neutral. But or the announcement of a scientific discovery. I think that very few scientists are neutral. They are happy.
They try to be neutral. Exactly.
But they are happy. Because so you can, of course, let's say the most Polish scientist, he tries to be so neutral as possible. And he announces this discovery. But he actually kills his discovery by neutrality. It's an illusion because as the heart, I think, is a correct metaphor. You need the emotion there.
Definitely. It's never separable from any rationale or logic or anything like that. They are together and they are interwoven always, already, and always been. And I was thinking any attack on Hedenius at that time would have made the whole thing worse. Because he himself is on the wrong path from the beginning. The attack would just prove that there is a point to the cleft. Well, that's fair enough. What do you say, Kalle? Should we?
Let's enter.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your comments, Kalle. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Do enjoy your day. Have a happy morning wherever you are, or afternoon, evening, or night. Bye bye for now.